What is partition alignment and why would I need it? What is partition alignment and why? Does it have something to do with the 2048 sector gap between two logical partitions?
Newer hard drives are being manufactured to utilize 4 kilobyte sectors rather than the conventional 512 byte sectors. This is done to make more efficient use of the physical space on hard drives, as for every sector there is a small batch of error correction data on the drive, and by going from 0.5 kilobytes to 4 kilobytes per sector means that there can be much less space on the drive wasted in this error correction data. To show what I mean, here is an image taken from the Wikipedia article on advanced format drives. The reason for having to align your disk stems from the interaction of software that was written to expect 512 byte sectors working on a drive with 4 kilobyte sectors. If the software expects 512 byte sectors, then it may well be trying to write to what it thinks is the second sector of a cluster, but is in fact the second 512 bytes of a 4 kilobyte sector. The problem is that advanced format drives that simulate a 512 byte sector to the operating system but actually work with 4 kilobyte sectors internally is that a sector can only be written in one go. In order to write to that second 512 byte area, the entire 4 kilobit sector must be read, and then rewritten back to the drive, and this is a slower process than simply telling the drive to rewrite the whole 4 kilobit sector. Even if the operating system is aware of 4 kilobit sectors, it must have the drive properly aligned so that the boundaries between sectors agrees between where the drive says they are and where the operating system thinks they are. Then there are SSDs, which have a similar problem in that they can be written byte by byte, but only erased in large blocks of typically 256 kilobits or 512 kilobits. In this way, in order to maximize performance, you must align the partition, and the sector, boundaries along one of those 256 or 512 kilobits blocks. For this reason, a lot of modern partitioning tools simply align the entire drive along a 1 MB boundary, which neatly does away with the need to detect whether you have any of the many types of drive, be they 512 byte sectors, 4 kilobit sectors, or SSD with some arbitrary block size. Edit equals. To tell if your drive is properly aligned, there are a number of ways to check, as this article on Lifehacker mentions. The advice applies mainly to SSDs but is equally relevant to making sure a normal hard drive is aligned properly. To see if your partitions are aligned correctly, hit the Start menu and type in msinfo32. Enter msinfo32 and go to Components in GT, Storage in GT, Disks. Look for your SSD on the list and find the partition starting offset item. If this number is divisible by 4096, that is, if dividing it by 4096 equals a whole number and not a decimal, your partition is correctly aligned. If not, you need to realign it. Luckily, this is pretty easy to do with the parted live CD. If you have an Ubuntu live CD lying around, that will work too, since it has parted available under System and GT Administration.
If you want to support that channel, please consider subscribing.